You ever notice how pain shows up like an uninvited guest? It don't announce itself with flowers. It walks in heavy, drops a suitcase, and sits down like it's paying rent. I've been there. You've been there. Everybody in this room been there. And I want you to hear me right now. Your pain is not the end of your story. It's the setup for your comeback. See, people think pain means you did something wrong. They think pain means God left the room. Nah. Pain means something important is happening. Pain is the chisel knocking on the statue inside of you. If you run from it, you run from the masterpiece God's trying to carve. If you stay, you might just find out what you're made of. Let me tell you a little truth. When you're down, the enemy will whisper 1,000 reasons to quit. He'll point to your bank account, your broken relationship, your failed plan, and he'll say, you don't belong. But faith, real faith, says, sit down, enemy. This is where the teaching happens. You don't know the lesson if you leave the classroom early. Pain doesn't show up to make your life miserable. It shows up to teach you something you couldn't learn any other way. That's a hard truth, and it's also a freeing one. When you start seeing pain as instruction instead of indictment, everything changes. Your posture, your choices, even your future. Think about it like this. A blacksmith doesn't complain when the metal gets hot. Heat is part of the process. The hammer isn't cruel, it is purposeful. Your struggles are the heat and the hammer. They break off weak pieces, they reveal hidden faults, and they make what's left stronger and more useful. If you treat pain as punishment, you hide, you resent, and you stall. If you treat pain as teacher, you study, you adapt, and you grow. There are practical, everyday ways to turn hurt into learning. First, ask better questions when something goes wrong. Instead of why me, ask what for. That small shift moves your brain from victim mode into student mode. When you ask what for, you start hunting for lessons. Did this reveal a blind spot in your finances? Did it show a character weakness, pride, impatience, dependency? That needs work. The answers become a blueprint. Second, take notes. Sounds simple, but people rarely record the hard lessons. Write down the moment, what you felt, what you did, and what you could do differently next time. This is how pain becomes curriculum, not just memory. Over time, those notes turn into a manual. Your manual for navigating the same storm next time without crashing. Third, translate emotion into action. Pain will give you feelings. Anger, shame, sorrow. But feelings alone don't fix anything. Convert them into steps, one concrete thing today you can do to be better. Maybe it's a call to mend a relationship, a course you'll take to improve a skill, or one small budget change that stops the money leak. Action makes the lesson real. Fourth, adopt humility as a daily habit. Pride makes pain sting longer because you'll spend energy defending your ego instead of learning from the blow. Humility says, I don't know everything. Teach me. Humility opens you to correction, coaching, and community, the very things that accelerate growth. Finally, remember the larger arc. Pain's lessons are often delayed in their rewards. The grit you grow in hard seasons rarely shows up as overnight glory. It shows up later in steadier judgment, in calmer responses to crisis, in the ability to lead others out of the dark. Your scar becomes a credential. The way you handled that season qualifies you to help someone who's in it now. So next time pain comes knocking, meet it with curiosity, not collapse. Ask what for. Take notes, act on one small step, practice humility, and trust the long arc. Pain is not the sentence on your life. It's the tutor in the room. Tough, honest, and ultimately invested in your becoming. Treat it like a teacher, and you'll finish class with a diploma called resilience. Talent opens doors. Persistence keeps them open. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or for talent to magically carry them to the top. But real success isn't a one-time lightning strike. It's a series of small, stubborn decisions made when nobody's watching. That's what persistence is, the willingness to show up again and again, even when progress is slow, invisible, or painful. Think about the people you call naturals. Sure, some folks pick up skills faster, but the ones who last are not the ones who coasted on raw ability. They were the ones who practiced when it got boring, who fixed mistakes instead of covering them up, who treated failure like feedback instead of a final verdict. Talent may get you noticed. Persistence gets you paid, promoted, and trusted. Persistence does three practical things that talent alone never does. First, it compounds. Doing a little every day, writing one page, making one outreach call, practicing one scale builds momentum. Momentum changes outcomes. Second, persistence builds confidence. Confidence isn't born from comfort. It's forged by repeating the hard thing until doing it feels normal. Third, persistence creates experience. Experience breeds judgment, and judgment wins in the long game. If you want persistence to be your advantage, you need a strategy, not just willpower. Start by breaking the big goal into micro goals. Instead of write a book, commit to 300 words a day. Instead of grow my channel, post one piece of value 3 times a week. Small wins are psychological fuel. They keep you moving when enthusiasm fades. Next, make a boring system. Talent shines in highlight reels. Systems win championships. Create routines that automate progress, fixed work windows, a weekly review, a simple checklist. When discipline is automated, you don't have to summon heroics every morning. You just follow the plan. Over months, the system turns discipline into habit and habit into results. Third, use accountability like oxygen. Tell somebody your plan and a deadline. Public commitments are sticky. They push you to act on days when excuses sound reasonable. Accountability partners, mentors, or a small group can call you out, celebrate you, and keep your trajectory honest. Fourth, reframe failure as tuition. Every setback is a class you paid for, lessons that refine your method. Ask, what did this teach me? And then apply it immediately. People who persist don't deny failure, they mine it. Finally, guard your focus. Talent attracts distractions. The louder the praise early on, the more likely you are to be derailed by shiny alternatives. Persistence requires humility, the quiet grind, while others clap, the invisible work, while headlines chase someone else. Protect your hours, your attention, and your long-term horizon. Here's a small exercise. Pick one meaningful goal. Write down one action you will do daily for 30 days. Tell one person. Track it in a simple chart. On day 31, evaluate, not for perfection, but for patterns. Adjust and repeat. That's how persistence becomes a practice and then a lifestyle. Remember, the world rarely rewards raw potential. It rewards the person who refused to stop. Talent may grab the spotlight, but persistence builds the stage, the show, and the legacy. Be the one who keeps showing up. Pain is not just a problem to survive. It's raw energy waiting to be redirected. When you learn to convert hurt into horsepower, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your comeback. Using pain as fuel means you refuse to let suffering be the end of the sentence. Instead, you turn it into the spark that lights your next fire. First, feel the pain honestly. Don't fake courage. Numbing or denying only buries the lesson. Name it anger, loss, shame, disappointment. Saying it aloud takes away some of the poison. Once it's named, you can choose to transform it. Emotions give you information. Use that information to plan action. Second, convert emotion into a specific, measurable action. Vague vows like, I'll do better. Don't move mountains. Translate the hurt into a task. List one skill to learn, one habit to change, one person to call, one application to send. These small, practical moves are the fuel injectors. They take raw emotional energy and channel it into forward momentum. Third, make a ritual out of the struggle. Athletes practice under pressure on purpose. They simulate the game so they don't freeze when the lights are real. Build a daily routine that uses your pain as a reminder and a motivator. A morning statement, a short workout, 15 minutes of skill work. Rituals turn unstable feelings into steady drive. Fourth, protect your focus like it's currency. Pain will attract drama, sympathy seekers, and distractions that want to keep you talking instead of doing. Limit the noise. Set boundaries. Spend less time replaying the wound and more time executing small wins. 1 focused hour beats 5 scattered ones. Fifth, fuel up with learning. When pain exposes a gap in skills, finances, communication, fill it deliberately. Read 1 article. Take 1 lesson. Practice 1 technique. Knowledge turns frustration into strategy. The more you learn, the less impotent you feel, and the more your pain becomes practical power. Sixth, channel your story outward. The energy from pain can isolate you if you hoard it. Use it to serve. Teach, mentor, create content, or volunteer. Turning personal hurt into public help is alchemy. It transforms private sorrow into public service and gives your struggle meaning. Seventh, celebrate micro progress. Fuel is wasted when you only chase the finish line. Mark the small wins. 1 extra call, 1 extra minute of focus, 1 completed course module. Those micro victories charge your battery for the next push. Finally, get rest and refuel properly. Fuel without maintenance burns out. Sleep, nutrition, prayer, meditation, and community keep your engine from overheating. Pain-driven hustle without recovery becomes reckless, not radical. In short, acknowledge the hurt, translate it into actionable steps, build ritual and skill around those steps, protect your focus, and use the result to help others, all while taking care of yourself. That's how pain stops being a weight and becomes a wind at your back. Use it. Let it push you forward. Keep moving. One of the greatest mistakes people make with their struggles is thinking, nobody will understand what I've been through. But here's the truth. Your scars are not just for you. They are survival guides for somebody else. Your story, as messy and imperfect as it is, might be the lifeline another person is praying for right now. When we go through pain, our first instinct is to hide it. We cover it with fake smiles. We silence it with, I'm fine. And we tuck it away because we're ashamed. But what if the very thing you're hiding is the exact testimony somebody needs to hear? What if your darkest night is the flashlight for another person's path? Think about it. Every inspiring figure we admire didn't just succeed. They shared how they fell, and fought their way back. Steve Jobs told the world he was fired from his own company. Oprah spoke about her trauma. Steve Harvey himself talks about being homeless and broke before his breakthrough. Their stories are what connect them to us. Their struggles make their victories believable. Your story doesn't have to be polished to be powerful. In fact, the cracks are what make it relatable. When you tell somebody, I know what it feels like to be broke, betrayed, or brokenhearted, and here's how I made it through, you give them permission to hope again. That's impact. Here's why sharing your story matters. It heals you. Speaking the truth out loud removes shame's grip. Every time you share, the pain loses a little more of its power over you. It guides others. People don't just need advice, they need examples. Your story says, if I survived, so can you. It builds community. Vulnerability creates connection. When you share honestly, others open up too. That's how tribes, friendships, and movements form. Now, sharing your story doesn't mean broadcasting every detail to everyone. It means choosing courage over silence in the right moments. Maybe it's telling your child how you overcame failure so they learn resilience. Maybe it's opening up in a small group. Maybe it's creating content for the world. Whatever the platform, the principle is the same: your voice can heal. There's a ripple effect too. Imagine you tell your story and one person avoids giving up because of it. That person then goes on to inspire 5 more. Each one of those 5 inspires 5 more. Before you know it, your private pain has created public impact across hundreds of lives. That's legacy. So the next time you feel tempted to hide what you've been through, remember, silence helps nobody, but your honesty could be the very rope that pulls someone else out of their pit. Don't bury your story. Don't minimize it. Don't think it's too small. You made it through for a reason. And one of those reasons is this: somebody else needs to hear that survival is possible. Your story can save someone else. Pain is not a detour from your destiny. It's often the very path that leads you there. When you push through the hard season with intention, what looks like chaos becomes a corridor. On the other side of that corridor is purpose, clearer vision, sharper gifts, and the kind of influence only forged by struggle can produce. First, understand that pain refines priorities. When everything is easy, distractions multiply and values get fuzzy. But when life tightens up, you begin to see what truly matters. Bills, bragging rights, and busy work fall away. Relationships, calling, and character move forward. This pruning is painful, yes, but it helps your purpose grow unchoked and strong. Second, pain clarifies competence. You don't truly know what you're capable of until pressure reveals it. Pressure doesn't create ability out of thin air. It reveals reserves you never knew you had. When you learn to operate under stress, you build competence that prepares you for bigger responsibility. Employers, teams, and communities need people who've been tested. Tests teach trustworthiness. Third, struggle deepens empathy. Purpose isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in service of others. People who've walked through valleys speak differently. Their advice lands because it carries the weight of experience. Your scar gives you credibility. The person you can now help is often someone who's 2 steps behind where you once stood. Fourth, pain accelerates innovation. When the usual ways fail you, you are forced to invent new solutions. That creative pressure is the birthplace of breakthroughs. New business ideas, relationships rebuilt on healthier terms, fresh spiritual rhythms, or a different career direction. Purpose frequently hides in the work you invent when the old map burns. Fifth, endurance builds timing. Purpose isn't always about speed, it's about season. Many people run to outcomes before their season. Pain teaches patience and timing, knowing when to push, when to pause, when to pivot. That discernment produces results that last, not temporary wins that fade. Now, how do you cross the bridge from pain to purpose? Start with one steady commitment. Clarity work. Spend quiet time asking 2 questions. What did this season teach me? And who can I serve because of what I learned? Write the answers down. Next, make a 1-step plan you can do this week that moves you towards serving someone else with what you've gained. An old neighbor, a small online post, a short talk at a local group. Also, keep your heart soft and your hands busy. Soft-heartedness lets you connect. Busy hands build evidence of your growth. Share transparently but wisely. Vulnerability opens doors, but wisdom steers how much to share and where. Finally, honor the timeline, celebrate small wins, iterate, and trust that the cumulative effect of steady action crafts a meaningful life. So remember, pain is not the opposite of purpose. It's often the prelude. Walk through your season with eyes for lessons, hands ready to work, and a heart aimed at service. On the other side of your hurt is an assignment only you can complete. Keep going. Your purpose is waiting. So right now, wherever you are, sitting in your car, lying awake at night, or scrolling through doubts, hear me plain, your pain is not your prison. It's the pointing finger to your purpose. Every bruise, every closed door, every night you thought you couldn't wake up, those are the building blocks of the life you're being prepared to live. Don't let shame silence you. Don't let fear reroute you. Breathe, take one small step, and then take the next. Get up, get focused, and get to work. Not because the road is easy, but because the destination is worth the fight. Keep your circle tight, your hands busy, and your faith louder than your fear. And when you finally make it through, when the lights come on and the crowd starts to clap, remember how you got here. Use your scars to lift somebody else. Tell your story. Be the hand that pulls the next person up. That is how purpose multiplies and legacy is born. So stand up, dust off, take the next step. Your pain had a reason. Now go find a purpose. Don't quit now.